Hello everyone, welcome to Steno Aspirants. I am Akshay and I am going to dictate you a dictation on both legal and general matter containing 720 words each. So get ready for the legal dictation. 3, 2, 1, start. This appeal is directed against the judgment and order of the Delhi High Court by which it allowed the appeals of the two respondents, set aside the judgment and decree passed by the trial court, and permitted the appellants to file their written statements within 4 weeks from the date of the judgment, directing further that the trial court would then proceed with the suit and dispose it of in accordance with law. The appellant Messrs. HDFC instituted a suit under Order 37 of the Code of Civil Procedure 1908 for realization of its dues against defendant number 1 and the two respondents who were the guarantors to the loan. According to the case of the appellant plaintiff and defendant number 1, who was the owner of a plot of land, approached the appellant plaintiff for a loan for constructing a house on the plot. The loan was sanctioned. Defendant number 1 executed the loan agreement and a promissory note in favor of the appellant. In addition, defendant number 1 also created inequitable mortgage in favor of the plaintiff by depositing the title deeds of the plot in question. The other two defendants respondents before this court stood guarantee for repayment of the loan and executed the letters of guarantee. On the execution of the necessary documents, the loan was disbursed to defendant number 1 in 2 installments. The loan amount, along with interest at the rate of 15% per annum, was to be repaid in equalized monthly installments over a period of 180 months, and in case of default, according to the terms of the loan, the outstanding would attract additional interest at the rate of 18% per annum. The defendants defaulted in payment of the EMIs, and as a result, a large sum was outstanding against them. The defendants did not pay the installments despite letters and reminders. Hence, the plaintiff invoked the guarantees and intimated the two respondents that in case of failure to make the payment, legal proceedings would be instituted against them. Despite the aforesaid letter and legal notices sent on behalf of the appellant, the defendants did not pay the outstanding amount of rupees 4 lakh, and the plaintiff was thus left with no option but to institute the suit for realization of its dues from defendant number 1 and the guarantors of the said loan as such. Defendant number 1 did not appear in the suit despite notice. The two defendants respondents, however, appeared before the trial court and filed separate applications under Order 37, Rule 3 of the Code of Civil Procedure for permission to defend the suit. The defendant's applications were based on a number of grounds, but we may only advert to the one that seems to have weighed with the High Court. It was contended on behalf of the respondents that since the plaintiff appellant had got a promissory note executed in its favor by the borrower, defendant number 1, and had further made the borrower create an equitable mortgage in its favor by deposit of title deeds, they would be absolved of their liability in terms of Section 139 of the Contract Act. According to the respondents, their plea gave rise to a tribal issue and they accordingly sought permission to file their written statements and contest the suit. The trial court, by its judgment and order, examined all the pleas, including the one based on Section 139 of the Contract Act, and found and held that none of the pleas raised by the defendants gave rise to any substantial defense against the claim of the plaintiff. Accordingly, it dismissed the petitions filed by the defendants respondents by order dated and proceeded to decree the suit of the appellant plaintiff for a sum of rupees 4 lakh a long with cost and expense and future interest at the rate of 10% per annum on the decreal amount from the date of filing of the suit till the date of realization. In appeal, the Delhi High Court, as noted above, set aside the order and decree passed by the trial court and directed it to allow the defendants respondents to file their written statement and proceed to try the suit from that stage. The High Court noted that relying upon Section 139 of the Contract Act. Stop. Get ready for the second dictation on general matters. 3, 2, 1, start. Mr. Chairman, sir, I rise to support the demand for grants of the Ministry of Labour. On this occasion, I would like to draw the attention of the government through you to the fact that labor constitutes the power of a nation. But for the last few years, a cruel mockery of labor force has been made in India, a nation that provides labor opportunities and where labor is worshipped, becomes prosperous and developed. But I would like to draw the attention of the Honorable Minister to the happenings of the last few years so that the repetition thereof is avoided. The figures of the last 5 years stand a testimony in our records to the fact that the opportunities of employment have been lessened in India. The policies that tended to lessen the opportunities of work have been enforced in this country. 2 crore and 35 lakh educated unemployed youths had registered their names in 1985 in different employment exchanges in India. The figures of mid 89 collected after a gap of 4.5 years reveal the number of such youths as approximately 3 crores and 50 lakhs. This means an increase of 1 crore and 15 lakhs in a period of 4.5 years. Yet many rural educated youths do not have access to these exchanges. The then government stated that the number of educated unemployed thus would touch 5 crores if the rural folk were also taken into account. The then government had also conceded that if rural uneducated youths were also added to this number, their number would be 10 crore youths. This is 20 crore hands idling for want of jobs and employment. This is the direct result of the policies adopted for the last 7 years in our country. Through you, I would like to draw the attention of the government towards this problem. During the last 5 years, there has been a large scale advent of foreign companies in India, and restriction of manual employment opportunities in the name of computerization has resulted in rampant unemployment. More than 30 crore people are living below the poverty line in India today. One third of them get work for 6 months only. Two thirds of them for 7 months in a year, and only 4% of such people work for 9 months in a year. A new ray of hope has been spread amongst the youth with the assuming of office of Ministry of Labour by the Honorable Minister Sri Ram Vilas Paswan. I would therefore like to draw his kind attention to the problems and sufferings of the people of my constituency. Many big industries have been closed down in Bihar. More than 5,000 unemployed people have been waiting for years so as to get some work. The gravity of the situation can be judged from the fact that dozens of youths have committed suicide during the last 5 years there. I had an opportunity of visiting that place recently. The mothers and sisters in the families of such persons are compelled to indulge in flesh trade in order to pacify their hunger for food. All this is happening there only due to the wrong policies adopted in the past. 18 big industries and approximately 15,000 small and medium scale industries are lying closed in Bihar. More than 25,000 other industries are on the verge of closure, and the labor force thereof has either been rendered unemployed or is on the verge of being rendered jobless. So far as the rural labor force, particularly in Bihar, is concerned, the National Rural Employment Program and Jawaharlal Rozgar Yojana were implemented, but there is a widespread talk about these programs in the villages of Bihar that earlier the landlords exploited the people in the villages, but another class of landlords is rising in the shape of bureaucracy that consists of overseers, block development officers, and engineers who are collectively looting the poor laborers. Now, if there is an earthwork scheme of rupees 1 lakh for which the laborers are to be paid an amount of rupees 172 per laborer, you will be surprised to know that they are actually paid rupees 70 only, and the balance amount of rupees 102 is pocketed by the bureaucrats. It is an open secret. Stop over.